In our last lesson for Chapter 7, we're going to look at graphs and equations for circles. A standard equation of a circle is based on the Pythagorean theorem, where we have leg squared plus leg squared equals the hypotenuse squared. This is a leg, this is a leg, and this is the hypotenuse. So this is where our formula comes from. So it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where hk is the center and r is the radius. In our first example, write the standard equation of each circle. One of them is a picture and the other has information given. So on the first one, we have a center at -5, +4. So hk is -5, +4, with a radius of 4. Our equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. X plus 5 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 16. And our next one, center's at 0, 0, and radius is 3.5. So x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 3.5 squared. In our next example, a point 4, 1 is on a circle with center 1, 4. Write the standard equation of the circle. So on this one, I know x and y, and I know h and k. We need to find r. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. 4 minus 1, 3 squared is 9. 1 minus 4, -3 squared is 9 equals r squared. 18 equals r squared. So my equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. We have to find the center and radius and then graph the circle. So I'm going to group the x's. I'm going to group the y's. This will become one long equation, and I'm going to move the 6 to the other side. We take half of this number, half of 2 is 1 squared, and add that to this side. And then we'll do the same with the y's. I'm going to actually erase, so I have room to write it over here. Half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. What I add to the left, I have to add to the right. So it's going to be 6 plus the 1 plus 9 is 10, so 16. So it's whatever half of the 2 was, and then whatever half of 6 was. We're really just making what's called a perfect square. So the center is at 1, -3, and the radius is 4. So if we draw it, 1, -3, with a radius of 4, and there's our circle. Okay, the next question, does the point 3 square root of 7 lie on the circle centered at the origin? So center is at 0, 0. And contains the point 1, 4. So in order to prove this, we're going to check to see what the radius is, and then check to see if this point would work when we find the radius. So again, we're going to plug in, this is h and k, so x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Solve for r squared first. 1 squared is 1, 4 squared is 16, r squared equals 17. Write our equation of our line, x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 17. And then we'll plug in the point to see if 3 square root of 7 works for x. 3 for x, square root of 7. 3 minus 0 squared is 9. Square root of 7 minus 0 squared is 7. 16 does not equal 17, so that would be a no. In our last example, we're looking at the epicenter is the point directly above the Earth in earthquake's origin. A seismograph can be used to determine the distance to the epicenter of an earthquake. Seismographs are needed in 3 different places to locate an Earth's epicenter. Use the seismograph readings from the locations A, B, and C to find the epicenter of an earthquake. So the epicenter is 10 miles away from the first point, 2 miles away from the second point, and 5 miles away from the third point. Find the coordinates. What we're going to do is graph each of these circles. So we're going to graph a circle with a center at -1, -3 with a radius of 10, 5, 3, radius of 2, and 2.9 as the center and radius of 5. And then we're going to find the intersection point of those 3 circles. So here, now I've graphed each of those. We have -1, -3 with the radius of 10, and then we had the other 2 circles that I just explained and graphed. And so if you find the intersection of all 3, you can see that the intersection of all 3 is going to be the point right over here. So if we find that intersection point, let's see if we can find that an exact intersection point. And point D is at 5, 5. So if we go back to our screen, point D was at 5, 5. and that would be the epicenter. And that's all for today.